Inside REV Ocean, the 195-meter mega yacht trying to save the sea. Imagine a yacht so big it makes Dilbar and Eclipse feel nervous. Now imagine that instead of being built just to host parties, it was designed to drag scientific gear through the deep ocean, burn plastic trash, and carry a small army of scientists trying to fix the planet. Somewhere on board, this ship is a number that proves how extreme that mission really is. And we will come back to that toward the end. Welcome to REV Ocean. This is not your typical billionaire toy. REV Ocean is a privately funded research and expedition vessel just under 195 meters long, built by VARD for Norwegian billionaire Kjell Inge Røkke. On paper, she is a research ship, but in person, she looks and feels like one of the most serious mega-yachts ever created. A 640-foot, ice-class, diesel-electric palace designed to go almost anywhere on the planet and stay there for months. This is luxury living detective, and today we are stepping inside REV Ocean. What she is, how she works, how much she costs, and what life actually feels like when your idea of a luxury cruise is collecting data at 6,000 meters below the surface. A 195-meter giant with a mission. REV Ocean started with a simple but brutal idea. If humans helped damage the ocean, maybe the most extreme ship on the water should be dedicated to helping repair it. From bow to stern, REV Ocean stretches about 194.9 meters, roughly 640 feet, with a beam of 22 meters and a draft of just over 5.2 meters. That is more than 2 American football fields of steel, labs, cabins, and working decks. Her gross tonnage is close to 20,000, putting her firmly into small cruise ship territory rather than normal yacht numbers. The exterior lines come from superstar designer Espen Øino, so even though this is a research vessel, it still has that long, sleek, tiered superyacht profile. A strong bow, stacked decks, 2 helipads, and a long working deck aft. Inside, H2 Yacht Design handles the accommodations, blending serious science spaces with very real luxury guest areas. The hull and main structure are built to Polar Class 6, which means she can push into ice-infested waters as easily as she can drift in the tropics. Ownership-wise, REV Ocean is the flagship of Røkke's Ocean Initiative. This is a man who made billions in offshore and industrial businesses and then publicly promised to give most of it away. Instead of just writing checks, he decided to build a ship that could host scientists, environmental groups, and institutions on missions designed to study and heal the ocean. From my point of view, that already puts this vessel in a completely different category from a normal plaything. Engines, range, and seriously silent power. Underneath the white and orange superstructure, REV Ocean is a monster of engineering. She runs on a diesel-electric propulsion system built around 4 Wärtsilä 8 L26 generator sets, each producing about 2.7 megawatts of power. Those feed 2 large electric propulsion motors of roughly 3.2 megawatts each, turning long shaft lines that push the ship up to a top speed of around 17 knots. At normal research speeds, she cruises quietly at about 11 knots. Her range is where things get crazy. At 11 knots, REV Ocean can cover more than 21,000 nautical miles without refueling. In practical terms, that means she can leave Norway, circle the planet, and still have margin. On top of that, she carries a massive lithium-ion battery pack of around 3 megawatt-hours. That allows low-noise operation when needed and earns her a special silent R notation for reduced underwater noise. Why does that matter? Because if you are trying to measure fish behavior, track whales, run sensitive sonar, or listen to what is happening in the deep ocean, the last thing you want is your own ship roaring in the background. From my perspective, this is where REV Ocean really shows off. She is built not just to move through the environment, but to get out of her own way so the science can actually happen. Her hull is ice-strengthened. Her dynamic positioning system lets her hold station without dropping an anchor. And her autonomy numbers are wild. With stores for roughly 90 people on board, she can stay at sea for up to 114 days straight. That is almost 4 months of continuous operations without touching a port. Lab, luxury, and a working deck the size of a football field. Walk around REV Ocean, and you see immediately that she has 2 souls, scientist and superyacht. Aft, there is a gigantic open working deck where cranes, winches, and A-frames can launch and recover heavy equipment. This is where she deploys trawl gear to sample fish stocks, drops advanced sonar systems, and lowers submersibles and remotely operated vehicles. One Triton sub is designed to carry 3 people down to more than 2,000 meters. The ROV system can dive all the way to roughly 6,000 meters, touching the abyssal zones that most ships can only dream of studying. In the middle of the ship, a moon pool opens directly through the hull, so instruments and vehicles can be launched straight into the water from inside the vessel, protected from waves and weather. There is an auditorium for briefings and conferences, multiple dry and wet labs, workshop spaces, and even a 3D printing and metal shop area so the crew can manufacture spare parts and custom tools while at sea. Then you step into the guest areas and the mood shifts. REV Ocean can accommodate up to 36 guests in 18 staterooms when configured for charters or special missions, alongside around 50 to 60 crew and scientists for a total complement near 90 people. The guest cabins are designed to superyacht standards: big windows, comfortable beds, warm materials, modern lighting. You get lounges, a cinema, gym, spa-style wellness spaces, observation lounges, and proper dining areas that would not look out of place on a classic high-end mega yacht. 2 helipads allow guests, scientists, and VIPs to arrive by helicopter, and 1 pad is linked to hangar and service areas so a dedicated Airbus corporate helicopter can travel with the ship. When she is operating in full research mode, that helicopter can be used for aerial surveys, ice scouting, and logistics. In more relaxed moments, it is simply the most dramatic way to arrive at your floating hotel. From my point of view, the most interesting part is how the luxury and the science overlap. You might spend the morning in a lab looking at microplastic samples under a microscope, then walk a few steps into a lounge with floor-to-ceiling glass, and watch the sun set behind icebergs. It is still a wildly expensive platform, but the vibe is less nightclub and more floating university with a 5-star hotel attached. Key specs in normal language. If you strip away the marketing and just talk about what REV Ocean actually is, you end up with a pretty simple description that hides insane complexity. This ship is about 195 meters long and 22 meters wide, with a draft just over 5 meters and an internal volume close to 20,000 gross tons. She is built to Polar Class 6, meaning she can safely operate in polar waters under defined ice conditions. Her power plant is diesel-electric, with roughly 11 megawatts of generator power feeding twin electric propulsion motors. That gets her up to around 17 knots flat out, with a comfortable, quiet working speed at 11 knots and a mind-bending 21,000-plus nautical mile range. She can host around 36 guests in 18 cabins when used as a superyacht, plus dozens of scientists and crew, taking the total human population on board to about 90 people. On the technical side, she carries trawls, sonars, labs, moon pool, submersible, ROV, workshop, and heavy-duty cranes. On the lifestyle side, she offers lounges, dining rooms, spa, cinema, gym, observation areas, and 2 helipads. In other words, she is a fully fledged research institute, hotel and expedition ship, all built into one hull. What REV Ocean really costs. Now let us talk about the part that always makes people sit back: the money. Most public estimates put the cost of building REV Ocean somewhere between $350 and $500 million US. Some rankings use a tighter figure around 316 to 350 million, while others round it up to that dramatic half-billion headline once you factor in design, fit-out, and advanced science gear. Whichever number you pick, we are deep into serious mega-yacht territory. But as always, the build cost is just the cover price. The real shock comes from the yearly burn. In the superyacht world, there is a brutally simple rule of thumb. Expect to spend about 10% of the vessel's value every year just to keep it alive. Apply that to REV Ocean, and you begin to see the scale. Even if you take a conservative $350 million value, you are looking at around $35 million a year in running costs. If the true all-in cost is closer to $500 million, that annual number jumps to roughly $50 million. That money pays for a crew of dozens of specialists, from captains and engineers to scientists, lab techs, helicopter crew, stewards, and chefs. It pays for fuel, port calls, insurance, maintenance, yard periods, paint jobs, spare parts, calibration of scientific instruments, and constant upgrades to keep the ship at the technological cutting edge. Big dry dock visits alone can cost what most people think of as a lottery win. There is another number that quietly shows how extreme this platform is. REV Ocean is designed to collect and process up to 5 tons of plastic from the ocean every day on certain missions. Imagine the systems, power, and logistics needed to do that continuously, while also running labs, hotel services, helicopters, and deep-sea equipment. It is a kind of industrial-scale cleanup operation and luxury superyacht rolled into one, and the price tag reflects that. REV Ocean versus regular billionaire superyachts. So where does REV Ocean sit compared to more traditional billionaire toys like Azzam, Eclipse, or Dilbar? On pure length, she beats almost all of them. After her extension, REV Ocean is roughly 2.3 meters longer than Azzam, which has long been marketed as the world's largest private yacht. In terms of volume, she sits in the same league as the biggest vessels afloat. But the real difference is purpose. Most of the famous giants are built primarily for private use, palaces at sea with some exploration capability bolted on. REV Ocean flips that script. She is built first as a research and expedition platform that just happens to meet or exceed top-tier superyacht standards in comfort and design. Instead of being a closed bubble for one family, she is meant to host rotating teams of scientists, NGOs, and institutions, and occasionally a small circle of charter guests or partners. From my perspective, that is the most interesting thing about this ship. It takes the raw financial power usually spent on another floating palace and directs it towards something that could benefit everybody who will never step on board. It is still an extreme expression of wealth, but at least part of that expression points back at the ocean itself. Your turn, palace or planet first? So here is the question I want to put to you. If someone gave you one fully hosted week on REV Ocean, with the option to run it like a pure luxury yacht or lean into the science mission, what would you choose? Would you spend your days in the labs and on the working deck, watching ROV feeds from thousands of meters down? Would you live on the helideck and observation lounges, treating it as the most overpowered cruise ship on Earth? Or would you try to do both? Data by day, cinema, and spa by night? Tell me in the comments what you would do first on REV Ocean, and who you would bring with you. I really do read what you write, and your ideas help decide which yachts, jets, mansions, and extreme luxury stories we break down next here on Luxury Living Detective. If this deep dive into a mega yacht built to heal the ocean gave you a new angle on what true wealth can look like, tap the like button so YouTube knows to send you more of these breakdowns. And if you are new here and you love super yachts, private jets, mega mansions, and real billionaire lifestyles, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. If you want to go even deeper and support the channel at the same time, you can join the channel using the Join button and become part of our inner circle of luxury-obsessed viewers. And if this video made you dream bigger, or maybe rethink what luxury could mean in the future, you can also use Super Thanks to directly support the channel and help us keep bringing you the wildest stories from the world of ultra-luxury. Thanks for watching Luxury Living Detective. I will see you in the next video, where we open another door into a lifestyle that most people only ever see from a distance.